Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tellmesispodcast with your two favorite sisters, Alex
and Kyla.
And we are actually recording this in advance. We're batching 2 episodes. So if you're watching on YouTube, we are wearing the same outfits as the episode prior, not to be confused. This is a new one. But I'm actually leaving for New York City in a few days, and I wanted to be able to make sure that we had something for this week and next week, and that I didn't have to worry about editing. And we get back basically super late on Monday, and Kyla starts her new job. It would just be a lot.
Yeah.
So we're doing 2 in 1 day, but this is going to be an exciting episode because we are talking all about fuckboys.
You guys basically submitted anonymously different stories that you have with different boys, and I'm excited to read through these because I feel like a lot of them will be funny. I hope that people, everyone who submitted their experience is laughing about it now.
Yes, because I've had experiences with some fuckboys. We're going to be saying the F word a lot in this episode. So if you're listening with children, probably not the episode for you. If you're in the car with kids or whatever, we're just going to be dropping it a lot. So just a little, thing. And also, I guess, should I talk about the Instagram thing I got just to make it obvious that we're not generalizing here? Does it not even matter?
I mean, yeah, you can if it's something that you think, if you agree that you think that it should be a disclaimer.
My whole 2023 mantra was that I'm not doing any disclaimers, and
That's
I feel like I keep doing disclaimers, but it's
then no disclaimer.
Okay, well, we're talking about fuckboys because sometimes men suck. That's just it just happens. Girls can suck too.
Yeah, but exactly.
This episode is about them fuckboys. So, should we talk about our experiences first, or should we just get right into the stories?
What's an experience that you've had with a fuckboy? Actually, now I'm curious.
Okay, well, if anyone is alarmed or confused by this, Daniel is not the guy I lost my virginity to. So it's just, I was not super young when I lost my virginity, but I went through a little bit of a phase when I did lose my virginity where I kind of experimented a little bit within the course of 4 years before Dan and I started dating. And I definitely have had my experiences.
You're nervous telling this story, eh? You could always cut it out.
I'm not nervous. It's happened before where I've talked about stories in my life, and then I never give details with names and stuff, but it's obviously to the person, and then it gets back to them and it's awkward. So I don't want to give any details like that to make it uncomfortable for anyone, but I have had experiences with fuckboys.
Yeah, I feel like most women have.
Yes, a lot of them. Not saying every single woman, but definitely a lot. And it was during a time where it was prior to social media, really. So the only form of communication was, I guess Facebook was social media. But yeah. Even then, it was MSN, Facebook. There was no Snapchat, Instagram. There was never anything posted. It was very much just I wasn't aware of what that was. The term fuckboy wasn't a thing that we used. Yeah. So if I was into someone and being vulnerable and having sexual relations with them, and then they didn't like me back, I was confused because.
And that's not even the definition of a fuckboy.
What? Me being confused? I know.
No, sleeping with a guy and then him not wanting to date you. When you like him and he doesn't like you back.
What? Let's go. What is the definition of a fuckboy?
I think a fuckboy is just someone who strings girls along and hooks up with a bunch of different women. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily show that much respect for women or that much sympathy towards how a woman might feel. I think that's just my understanding.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because that was a situation. I was in 2 of those types of situations, but I wasn't aware that there were other people involved.
Because you're just so young and naive.
Well, I just assumed well, they like me because they're sleeping with me.
Yeah, because that's how it was with you. You at that point maybe
I was just very inexperienced and naive, and I just assumed. Yeah. And then it's you never have that talk, and I just was well, I guess it's this. Yeah. And then was very quickly humbled that was not the case at all, which is fine. I was a teenager, I was young. You live and you learn, and you have to kind of learn from those things. But also, you can be one way as a teenager and grow out of that. There are men that were shitty teenagers that are amazing men now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
just because you were one way doesn't mean that's it for the rest of your life.
I was like quite a shitty teenager, and then
Yeah.
even like a shitty like early 20s or
early 20s or but yeah, I'm actually curious to know the definition of a fuckboy. But Kyla, while I'm looking this up, do you want to give a little explanation of your situations
with fuckboys.
if you want to, if you've had any, if you know of any.
I've had it for sure, but
I'm sorry,
what
the definition of a fuckboy: noun, a weak or contemptible man, a man who has many casual sexual partners.
okay, so that's
A weak
fuckboy.
man. Okay, a fuckboy is someone who says I'm bad at relationships as if it's nearly an absolute truth. A fuckboy is also someone, and by the way, this is just something I found off Google. It's like Urban Dictionary. A fuckboy is also someone who is just so emotional that he cannot deal with it. I just can't. This is too much for me. He, the fuckboy, is fundamentally confused and is unsure of what he wants. However, he will seemingly sincerely play like he is more involved or enamored than he actually is in interest of getting romantic attention and scratching the romantic sex itch. He is superficially intimate, as if acting from a script he knows all too well. Fuckboy operates from a superficial level of consciousness, and although he will seem like he is connected, time will show you that he never was. Yeah, he doesn't care about the details of your day, your friends, your family. Obviously, there's a big range.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, even like people that I've had relationships with that I would classify as a fuckboy at the time were still interested in like my life. They just didn't want to date me. Yeah. And I just was not aware.
Yeah. Like they weren't like treating you like absolute garbage.
No, but they weren't being respectful in other ways.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's like the classic, well, we're not exclusive, so like why would you assume we are?
Yeah.
Which is like obvious we're not, but like just because I was young and naive, I would just like assume. I didn't realize.
My experience with
Have you had any?
or fuckboys?
You kind of were like a serial dater, not to sound like.
No, I was.
Okay.
When I was younger, I went from like one relationship to the next. I've only had now I've had 3 long-term relationships. One of them was just a year. Is that considered long-term? Not really.
At the age of like 20, that's long.
No, it was my last one. It was just a year. So when I was younger, I had 2 relationships back to back, both of them very long-term. One of them, the first one I think was like 2.5 years, and then the second one was like somewhat like 4 years.
Yeah. Was there a break in between? Like not a very long one.
Not a very long one.
Okay.
And then after the 4-year one, I was like actually single for 3 years. So it's like really like when I was, you know, like getting more experience and stuff, because I wanted to be single. I was like, since I've started having like
sexual relations,
I've never been single, so I would like to kind of see what the whole single life is about. Right. I've definitely been in situations with fuckboys, but I was in like a fuckboy mentality.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Myself, so like I never felt. The second I felt like someone was being disrespectful to me, that's when I would pull away.
Okay.
But I never had anything happen that was like extremely disrespectful. I always knew like this guy probably doesn't want to date me, but I don't want to date him either.
Right.
But no guy, at least to my face, ever spoke down to me or made me feel like stupid.
Yeah, no guy did that to me either. It was
like
more
I've
just,
never
like,
been in a situation where I'm like, oh, he's not like asking me about my day or getting to know me or my friends, because if it was a situation like that with a guy, I was doing the same thing. Like I was reciprocating the same type of behavior.
Same energy, you were matching it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like if you're both on the same page, it's not that bad. It's more just like the disrespect in some situations, which I'm sure we'll get into when we read some of these stories.
Yeah.
But there have been like, I've had friends that have told me stuff that's happened to them where I'm like, literally my jaw's on the floor.
Yeah, same. I've heard a lot of stories, and knock wood that it would never happen to me, because I've definitely been in situations where I could have been traumatized.
Yeah. It's just like some people, how do men have the audacity?
Really though, but like also this goes for some women too.
Yes, I know.
Like,
obviously
girls too can be pretty
women
shitty.
can be like this as well. It's just like there are some situations, like I said, that my friends tell me, and I'm like, that can't even be real. Like I can't believe that's not a movie. Like someone didn't write that.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I try, because I always try to put myself in the other person's shoes to like see like where they could be coming from, but like sometimes I'm actually left completely speechless.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my mind around. I could understand wanting to have fun and just hook up and not want anything serious.
Yeah.
But to go above and beyond to make someone feel or to disrespect someone in a certain way,
know.
I can't wrap my mind around it, because I'm like, it actually takes energy for you to do that.
I know. And it's so unhealthy for that person. Like, there are so many situations. Like, okay, for my situation, for example, wasn't that bad. The guy just was not honest with me about certain things. And I wasn't confrontational in the sense of, like, bringing things up.
Yeah.
So it actually wasn't even bad.
Yeah.
You know, it just, like, we didn't communicate. That was the only issue, was there was no communication. So, like, technically no one did anything wrong.
Yeah.
It was just a bruise to my ego, and it just hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
That is it. But some stories of our friends and the situations they've been in.
I know. I have this one story in mind. It was one of your friends, and that's what I'm thinking of as I'm like, as we're talking about this
now. Yeah, like there's just been stories that guys will go to lengths to be really rude and really disrespectful, and I'm just like shocked. So I feel like we should just get into these stories.
Yeah, let's get into
Also, this episode is very lighthearted. Like, I just want to make that clear that like these are just stories that situations that people have gone through. I guess maybe a little trigger warning if you've ever gone through anything of like some kind of sexual abuse or whatever, that this might not be the episode for you.
Yeah.
Because it can be very, very triggering to a lot of people, but it can also be very relatable because, like I said, when I was going through it, this is not something that was talked about.
Yeah.
So I was so unaware of like shit like this happening, and the fact that I'm now more aware of this kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm like married to the kids, so it doesn't apply to me anymore. But with friends or people that I know in my life that are single, I can, you know, hear through them, and they can learn through other people to be wary of certain situations, to maybe just avoid or to be more clear upfront about certain things from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Know your worth. So
I actually do kind of want to make a disclaimer myself too, just because I am a girl that has gone through like trust issues and thinking that like, you know, men can be quite shitty. Not every guy is bad. Like, obviously, if you're a girl that's kind of in a vulnerable place right now, not every guy is bad. And these are just like, this episode is just meant to be more funny.
It's so you can relate if you've been through it.
If you've been through it, you could relate, you kind of laugh it off, but not every guy is a fuckboy.
No. I have an amazing husband. A lot of my friends have amazing partners in their life that would literally never do anything like that. And there are many men like that.
I was in a relationship for 6 years with a Montreal man, and I decided to end things with him because strip clubs and drugs was his life. I know, it was dumb.
Aww.
When I broke up with him, he tried so hard to fix things, or so I thought he was trying. When he saw that I didn't want him anymore and started dating someone else, he sent me a video of him on vacation in a room filled with women, rubbing his disgusting genitals on another naked woman. The time frame of that video was when he was trying to win me back. So in return, I sent the video to his mother and told her to tame her son and that drugs were not helping him. It's petty, but I don't care. He had put me through so much crap for 6 years. So happy I stuck to my gut and left his sorry ass. Good for you.
She sent it to his mother. Oh my God.
I mean, listen, that behavior though, like, could you imagine?
Why would he do that? See, this is the thing. Like, who does stuff like that?
That's the thing, is like, it takes so much effort to like.
I know. And you're trying to win someone back, yet you're doing stuff like that. What do you?
Yeah, you really dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, I am so happy for you that you're not in that anymore.
Oh my
Honestly,
God.
good for you.
Yeah, see, stories like that, it's like I've never experienced anything like that. Ever. That's like, maybe the drugs messed with him, you know?
Maybe. I mean, for sure. Okay. It's a very long situation, on and off, but long story short, this man had the audacity to bring up marriage randomly, and I asked him why he was talking to me about that, and he said how he'd like to get married eventually, but it didn't matter because he had me for the moment. I had someone to fuck until he finds a girl worth marrying. Like, that's what he was basically saying. I've never blocked someone this fast ever. Imagine being in your mid-20s and still treating women you pursued like an object. Kind of weird if you ask me. So he was basically saying like,
I'm just keeping you around because I'm horny, and then when I find someone that's marriage material, I'm gonna leave you. Like, I'm just keeping you around for my own benefit. Also, the fact that he's so comfortable being honest about that, like, are you just stupid or are you a sociopath?
That is Ugh. Good thing you blocked him.
Yeah, get out of there. Goodbye. I know someone who recently was talking to a guy and they were talking quite a bit. And he sent her a picture and he had and she didn't ask for a photo. They weren't like sexting or anything.
Okay.
Sends her a picture and like he's fully clothed, but like you could see that he has a heart on.
Okay.
And so little trick ladies, when a guy sends you a picture, you could save the photo, and then when you go to that photo in your camera roll, you could see the time and day that they took it. So you could see like how long it's been on their phone for. And she said that it was like it didn't match up to like what he was saying, and she like caught him in a lie, and she like basically was like, you sent that to another girl clearly. And he was like denying it, and she was literally just like, you're a loser, goodbye, and like never spoke to him again. Also, let's just say he did just send that in the moment.
What are you doing?
What do you do? Like, why are you sending me that? Like, clearly
She didn't ask for it.
yeah, I didn't ask for it. So like your judgment is just what's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So I was seeing this guy for a few weeks, and then he had this amazing date and he came over after.
Like they had an amazing date?
Yeah, but I guess it's worded like wrong. Right as we're cuddling in my bed, he proceeds to tell me, I'm not sure if I like you. I want to explore my other options, but I still see you at the same time.
Oh.
Then turned around and went to sleep.
Oh.
Mind you, he was at my apartment and in my bed. I was in shock and went to bed crying.
Oh.
God, I wish I had kicked him out of my bed and made him walk home since I had a car and he didn't.
Sis, you should have kicked him out.
But it's one of those situations too, though. It's one of those situations too where someone says something like that and you're in such shock.
Yeah, you can't even think.
That, yeah, you're just not thinking properly. So I don't blame you for like not reacting.
Honestly,
that way.
I think I would have done the same thing. I probably would have just rolled over and cried because
fuck you.
I would have sorry, that just doesn't compute in my brain how someone could say something like that.
I know, I don't understand. I actually don't
I'm
understand.
sorry, like I'm just exploring my other options, but can I still have you on the side? No.
But the fact that, first of all, there's a way that you could word things, and not only that, like if you know that's how you feel, why not just like cut the cord or be honest and be like, I'm not looking for anything serious right now, and it's up to you if you are on the same vibe. Because then if you're still willing to kind of hang out and you know where I stand, it's kind of like on you at that point.
And like, but pick
you don't
and
have to be so honest.
Pick and choose when you're gonna say it, not right before you're falling asleep in this girl's bed.
Literally, I would have been like, get the fuck out of my place.
It's not that crazy, but I do regret it. A family friend of mine tried to talk to me, and I was reluctant at first and then gave in, and he kept saying it was a friendship, although he obviously texted it like more, always flirting with me and texting me all day, making me feel special. A few months in, he confessed his feelings, and we messed around and had sex twice. And then the day after the second time, he told me he was talking to his ex. I asked if he wanted to get back together with her, and in brackets she wrote, I was being understanding and would have been okay with it if it were the truth and he would just admit it. But he said that he was absolutely not the case. Oh, that it was absolutely not the case. And then 3 days later, he ghosted me and got back together with his ex. Now I still have to see him at family events. I expected more from him considering our parents are close, but I am sure he just wanted to use me and did the chase for months because it was fun for him and he thought I was playing hard to get. It's weird that you would be like, listen, do you want to get back together with your ex? I don't mind. Like, just be honest. And then he's like, no, and then ghosts you and gets back together with his ex.
So
like,
deceitful.
You're literally giving him the okay to do that because you're like, I'd rather you just be honest. And then like, that's so weird to me. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, that's really shitty.
I know you said it's not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal because like you have to see him all the time and like it sucks.
One thing though that I think that a lot of people need to work on is stop giving other people so much power. Like for example, the girl that was like sleeping with the guy and then like he basically told her he like didn't see her in like a dating type of way and just like turned over and went to bed, and like she said that she started crying. It's like, first of all, I'm not invalidating the way like she felt and whatever, but it's like, don't give that person so much power. Like, don't even allow them to hurt your feelings. Like, the second they say something that's disrespectful, it's like you should see it as more of a turn off. Like,
and clearly
you're disgusting. Get out of my bed.
He has bad taste.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. If he's not into you, he's got bad taste.
Okay, so I once was meeting a guy from Tinder for the second time, and I went to his room in his house, which was filthy. There was trash and stuff everywhere.
Ooh.
He told me all his roommates had COVID at the moment, and I was like, why the fuck are you hanging out with me? And I freaked out. This was in late 2020 where things were still scary, and I lived in the US where there weren't many regulations. I proceeded to hook up with him anyways since I was already there. The hookup was not enjoyable because it was gross in his room. It was gross in his room, and his massive Great Danes were running around everywhere. Afterwards, he mentioned that the vaccine is a hoax and he doesn't really believe in COVID in the first place. Then he began discussing the flat earth theory, saying the theory has some merit. I ran after that.
I just feel like if you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable with something from the get-go, just don't follow through.
Yeah.
Like, you can just be like, bye.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
Because Great Danes were running around everywhere.
Good thing you didn't continue things with that guy. Would that be considered a fuckboy though? I just think that's a hookup.
Yeah, it's just a hookup.
Yeah.
It's just a bad hookup experience.
Yeah, that is a bad hookup experience, and I'm sorry. My ex-boyfriend right out of high school was the worst. One weekend, after nonstop asking to go get sushi, I agreed. I love sushi, but you need to be in the mood for it, of course. He orders an absurd amount, and towards the end of the meal asks if I could spot him. Huh? When I said no, while in disbelief, he said, well, I don't have any money on me. Oh, like she... Okay, sorry. I didn't get the phrase. That same boyfriend and I went to the beach that summer. We commuted over an hour and took a ferry to an island. He broke up with me on the island, and we had to get back home still. Trust me, there's more stories. Safe to say I learned my worth and left him and have never taken shit from a man again. He waited to get to the island to break up with you?
I actually heard a story like quite recently where I was like, it was actually like from a guy that I was talking to. I'm not going to say the story just in case it gets out, but it's like, he told me that and I was like, you're such a loser.
There was someone that told me that a guy was telling them they were on a date with someone, and midway through the date just went to the bathroom and left and didn't say anything, just left, didn't text the girl, didn't make an excuse, just bounced. And so that poor girl is just sitting there, they were like wondering where he went. And then he's telling this other person that I know, and the other person is like, you're so mean for doing that. And the guy was like, wait, really? He was confused. He didn't realize it was mean.
But no, that's
100% he realized it was mean.
Yeah,
just plain stupid.
Playing stupid. That's really shitty.
Imagine.
The
poor girl.
I was dating this guy for 6 months. We were never officially together because he was scared of committing because he was going to uni in a couple of months. Once, he came over to celebrate my birthday with me, so he came to my holiday family house, which is in a different country.
Wait, they weren't dating and he went to her family event in a different country?
Yeah.
Wow.
2 days into the holiday, we were out for lunch and he tells me he can't wait to go to university because he wants to fuck at least 10 girls during Freshers Week. In America, I think you call it Induction Week. Bear in mind, by this time we had been seeing each other for 6 months. Stupid me got extremely hurt, but continued to see him for 2 years. Don't worry, we're over now. Again, the audacity. Why are you saying that?
I just don't understand.
Okay, what I'm getting from this is that why do us women, like, why are we scared to, like, voice our opinion? And, like, why do we stay in situations that make us clearly very uncomfortable?
Yeah. I feel like when you're young and impressionable and, like, you don't have very much confidence, especially if it's an older guy who does have confidence, that's why I think it's so important that we talk, not just educate women about the importance of, like, saying no and being like, I'm not comfortable, I don't want to do this, or you're rude, or blah, 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 but also, like, teaching boys from a young age how to be respectful towards women. I think it starts from in the home. So, like, how your partner is treating you.
Yeah.
Like, I have a son, right? Dan treats me very respectfully, especially in front of Arkham, because we just don't want Arkham to grow up thinking it's okay to treat women a certain way.
Yeah.
Or anyone in general a certain way. And it's like, I think it's as much as important for us to educate women and girls and how to stand up for ourselves, it's also equally as important for us to educate men and boys.
Yeah.
The first time I ever had sex, when we were finished, the guy told me that'll be $20. I laughed, but obviously didn't find him funny. He was my first boyfriend and was a year older. He smoked and I thought he was so cool. Before we slept together, I had asked him how many girls he'd been with. He had told me a number, and after we slept together, he told me he had lied and had been with more girls than he had previously told me. He ended up dumping me by text on my birthday. That sucks. I am so sorry. That is...
What the fuck?
That'll be $20. Ew. Get out of here.
It's not funny.
That's not funny at all.
Not crazy, just weird, but I'll tell you anyways. Cry laughing face. I had a crush on someone in college who I had heard was a major fuckboy. Let's call him Jay. About a year later, Jay had a girlfriend and I was friends with his roommate, M. One drunken night 2 months ago, I hooked up with M, who I thought was a nice guy. Turns out he called Jay immediately when I went to the bathroom after. Also sent Jay a selfie. I know that because M showed me something on his phone the next morning. We decided that it was a one-time thing and we're going to stay friends. We never spoke after lol. Saw Jay and M at an event 2 weeks ago, and by the look on Jay's face, I know that M told him every little detail about that night. And now Jay's after me even though he still has a girlfriend. The worst part, Jay, M, and I have the same major, so we see each other all the time.
I'm confused with all the names.
So basically, she hooked up. Okay, she knew this guy Jay.
They were friends.
She knew he was a fuckboy.
Okay.
She hooked up with his roommate M.
Okay.
M and Jay were best friends.
Okay.
After they hooked up, M sent everything to Jay, told him every little detail, and then she bumped into Jay and M at a party.
And Jay was trying to go for her.
Jay was trying to go for her. Meanwhile, he has a girlfriend.
Ew.
And they all have like the same major. And she thought M was like a nice guy, but it turns out he's not. We're like, oh, it's going to be so funny. And like we're reading these stories now.
Can I just be honest about something? Okay, obviously when we're reading stories about fuckboys, you know it's not going to be like a super nice... Like, they're fuckboys. These are people that take advantage of situations and are not very nice. We know that. But the thing is, it makes me sad that so many of us are in situations that we just put ourselves in because we don't have the confidence to know our worth.
Yeah, it's like we seek validation from men, but like, fuck no.
But you know what? We learn through experiences and through mistakes. Like, I wouldn't have the confidence I have, and especially when I started dating Dan, the confidence I had with him, I wouldn't have had that if I didn't go through my experiences prior.
Yeah.
So although it sucked, but I am almost glad about it because
it shapes you into who you are today.
Exactly. And like, yes, do I wish that everyone could treat everyone with respect and be kind? 100%, but like that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
And I think one thing is to relate on situations that have been really shitty is almost validating in a way, because you're like, hey, I'm not the only person that got completely tricked by this guy.
Yeah.
You know, especially for myself, I had so many friends that were in relationships with all these amazing guys, and I felt like I kept running into these fuckboys, and I was like, what is wrong with me? And it's like, it's not me at all.
You're going for the wrong ones.
I was going for the wrong ones, and I just had no confidence to be like, this is not what I want or what I deserve. Either we talk and we figure things out, or I'm just going to move on. Like, I didn't have the confidence to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, what I was saying is, like, when I started hanging out with Dan, I basically, like, he was very upfront with me, kind of like, I'm not looking for anything serious. I just got to have a relationship, and I wasn't really looking for anything either. So I was like, okay, whatever, this works. We hang out as just friends. And then it naturally developed, and he was very much like, I want to be with you. Like, he was very honest about it, like, wanted to communicate. And I just knew that, like, this is how it should be. We should communicate. It shouldn't be this thing that's like never spoken about, and then like one person is very much aware the other person has feelings but taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because nothing is being said.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, you know, you're all young and whatever, but it sucks that so many of us have been in that situation.
Yeah.
I was an outdoor pool lifeguard like you guys were. At the pool I worked at, everyone was obsessed with one of the older guards. He was a supervisor. At our last night out of the summer, staff night out, he was avoiding one of the other girls on our staff by hanging out with me, and she was so jealous, and he was dancing and talking to me. Well, were they dating or just whatever? Him and I ended up hooking up in front of the whole staff on the dance floor and all the way back to the West Island from downtown. Oh, you're like a West Island lifeguard. Okay. I was supposed to stay with a friend for the night, but stayed with this guy instead. My friend was pissed at me. Everyone on the staff was mad at staff training the next morning. No one spoke to either of us. Interesting. Why? The next summer, he's my manager, we hooked up at our first night out of the summer, pissed some people off again. Two of the girls were very jealous because they were obsessed with him. But then he would ignore me whenever we were at work. He was actually a bit of an ass. I was a supervisor and he was the manager, and he would make me do all the shitty jobs, clean bathrooms, garbages, etc. But then whenever we'd hang out, have a night out, he'd be all over me again. Eventually, we decided to hide that we were hooking up from the staff. He really never wanted to talk to me unless we were hooking up. This went on for the entire summer. At the end of the summer, he texted me saying he needed to talk to me about what had been happening. His friend told me that he was basically in love with me and he didn't know how to tell me. Him and I never ended up speaking about it, and he moved away for school. The next summer, he was back and we definitely hooked up some more. All in all, it was a great time. We had fun, made a lot of people jealous, but nothing ever came of it, and he was a bit of a dick whenever we were at work. This guy sucks.
He's so shitty.
I just confused. Why is everyone mad that you guys are hooking up?
Yeah, I don't get it. Is it like pure just jealousy, or
like, that's such a weird thing for people to be mad at?
Yeah.
Because the only thing I can understand for people being mad is if he was leading other girls on or like
Yeah.
with like talking to other girls and then like hooking up with you on the side. Like I can understand people being pissed at that.
Yeah.
But if it's just like because they think he's good looking and he's hooking up with you, that's such a weird thing to be upset over.
Yeah. I don't get that at all.
But
Also, he's a dick. But you learned something.
it's so weird. This friend's like, he's basically in love with you. And then like you just never talk.
What?
I don't know. Some people are so weird. Some guys will be like, I love you, and then break up with you.
I was in my sleeping around era, lol. I met this guy on Tinder and went to his house. I feel like Tinder stories are always the best.
Okay, I have a really dumb question. What is the difference between like Tinder, Hinge, Raya,
There's nothing really.
Bumble? They're all the same. So why is it that Tinder is the one that's like the most?
Because Tinder, I think, was literally created for hooking up.
Oh,
I
it
think.
wasn't. Okay.
Whereas like other dating apps, it's like Hinge is technically supposed to be when you're only looking for something serious.
Oh. Okay.
You know.
That's good.
You know
to
how these things go.
No.
The sex was just really weird, and he didn't take my shirt off the whole time, and it was just bad. At the end of it, he basically quicked me out of his house, saying I needed to
Like,
go.
get out, yeah.
Saying I needed to go because he was working a 12-hour shift. Which, okay, all good, but maybe let me know that in advance. So I had asked what he did, assuming he worked at a hospital. Nope, he was a police officer. After the hookup, I never heard from him. I was totally ghosted. A few weeks after the hookup, he drove home drunk, ran his car in a telephone pole, and left the scene. He was also one of many cops charged in a case where someone that was detained died in custody. Let's just say I'm glad he ghosted me.
Oh my gosh, that's intense.
Whoa, that's scary.
Damn.
Also, you're a cop. Like, in general, you should know better than to drink and drive. But on top of it, you are a cop.
Would hit on girls in front of me at shows. What does that mean at shows? Like concerts? Convinced me to go to a festival with his two friends. We drove 18 hours there. He broke up with me the next day because other girls seemed more interesting. I was stranded and had to drive back with them and wait for the festival to end. Shortly after we got back, he decided he loved me. That was after he slept with multiple people within the couple of weeks. I so regret staying with him through this because he did shit like this before too. Like break up with me for the weekend to sleep with a girl, and I would find out months and months later when it all came out together with this breakup. That's not even.
I'm actually like really speechless for a lot of these. I don't even know what to say.
That's not even like fuckboy. That's just like you're a dick. Like you're just a mean person.
Fuckboy, mean person. He sucks. I'm speechless for all. I feel like I'm so boring in this episode because I'm just like, what?
It's like, should we do an episode with like how amazing men are, or like people even gonna care about that? Because I feel like there's a lot of things that people do that's really nice.
Yeah, we should do an episode that's more positive. Okay, let's read 2 more.
Okay.
Hi, Alex and Kyla. Love y'all and the pod so much. Thank you. So I was on and off with this boy in high school for 2 years. During that time, he did a lot of messed up shit, but I was dumb and in love. Anyways, I was waiting months for this boy to ask me to prom, and a few weeks before prom, he asked me what color my dress was, and I told him red. On the day of prom, he showed up to my house to pick me up and my friends, and shows up in a suit and a red vest and a tie to match my dress when he never asked me to go. Then, as we were leaving in front of my parents and family, he goes, "Hope your parents are ready to become grandparents tonight." Needless to say, I was so shocked, and so were my parents, and things fizzled out after that.
Ew!
But a few years later, when we were talking and catching up, he told me that he actually never liked me and just wanted to have sex with me. Thank God I never slept with him. Whoa, you really dodged a bullet there.
Also,
that's why you don't sleep with guys right away.
Why would he say that? This is what is so confusing to me. What is the purpose of you telling somebody that? Oh, by the way, I never liked you. I just want to have sex with you.
Yeah. Unless like she was actually asking him, like, why are you saying it?
Yeah, but still, I feel like there's a way you could say things that's not like that.
I know.
You'd be like, you know what? I was young and I just didn't really know what I wanted. And like, I'm sorry. I never communicated. Yeah. Like there are things you could say that are just not.
Beat around the bush a little bit.
Like, come on.
Alex, you're like in the bottom left corner, like
whatever.
cut out.
What's a situationship?
A situationship is like when you're talking to someone, maybe hooking up, getting to know each other.
Okay, this one actually is kind of an advice. Like they want advice for something.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a good way to end. And we have a lot of these, guys. So we can definitely make a part 2 if you like this story or if you like this vibe. Or would you want a more positive one where we talk about what men do that are actually nice? Because sometimes this is triggering. I started to talk to a new guy a while ago, and everything was going so well until I found out his childhood best friend is the guy I used to date last year. Ooh. The thing is, that situationship ended because a couple days after he came to my house, he posted a picture on Instagram with his girlfriend. At that point, we've been seeing each other for a couple of months. Now I have to run into them at parties and get-togethers, but she still has no idea that he was seeing us at the same time. What should I do?
I think if she comes to you and asks, then you should be honest.
Yes.
But don't go out of your way to say anything because you're just now getting involved in a bunch of drama. And then that also could lead to him making you out to be psycho and jealous.
I just never think it's good to involve yourself.
Exactly.
In someone else's drama.
Exactly. But that gives him leverage to be like, oh, she's jealous, she likes me, that's why she's coming out of her way to say something. You know, that's why I'm saying don't get involved, don't say anything. And if she comes to you, you should talk to her, like, you should be honest.
I think it's because she's probably thinking like, oh, this girl doesn't really know me, or that's just what I'm assuming.
Yeah, like, we don't know like the details, but don't go out of your way to say anything unless she comes and asks you. And I'm sure if he did it with you, it's possible he's doing it with other girls as well.
It will come out eventually.
So it will come out eventually.
It always does. I don't think it's ever, like, it's not worth your energy to involve yourself in that situation. Like, it sucks for them. It sucks for her. Like, obviously, if it was me, I would want someone to tell me. But at the same time, like, it's not your place. If it was, like, your best friend, like, you were, you know what I mean?
If it's someone that you're very close to, then I would say something. But if you don't really know her that well, you guys aren't friends, then... I
mean, clearly you didn't know that he had a girlfriend.
Yeah, so...
So you don't know this girl.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say anything. That's just my advice.
Stay out of drama.
Some men really suck.
Some guys really suck. And I think something that we need to take away from this episode is if you're ever in a situation where someone is saying something or does something that makes you uncomfortable, don't be scared to voice the way you feel. And
also realize that it's a lot on them.
Yeah, it has everything to do with, everyone is always projecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that women need to start working on not seeking validation from men, and you have to like kind of build your own confidence yourself. Because wow, do we ever put up with a lot? It's like we're so scared of like how they're gonna see us. Meanwhile, they could be so disrespectful.
I know. And we're the ones questioning, like, what did we do?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we didn't do anything. Look what they're literally doing right now.
Yeah.
And I know that girls can be shitty too. I know guys can be amazing. Girls can be amazing. I'll end with a really positive story of, you know, a man, and maybe you can do the same thing just to keep this on a more positive note. Something that Dan did for me, like, early on in our relationship, I told him how growing up we never were allowed video games in the house. Just because mom was kind of against them. She was just like, oh, I don't want to get video games, whatever. No shade to mom. It was just like what she just didn't want them. And I always wanted video games. I always said, I wish I had a Game Boy. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. Donkey Kong Country was my favorite. I loved playing it at my cousin's house. I'd play it there all the time. And one year for my birthday, Dan went and got me a really old, like, vintage Game Boy, like, flip thing with the Donkey Kong Country game, and was like, gave it as like a present. And I remember at first I was like, what the hell? Like,
that's what I was just thinking. I was like, you got so upset over that.
Well, because I was like, what is this? I'm confused. And like, I felt bad for my initial reaction because he was like kind of shocked. But then he was like, well, because you told me when we first started this was like 3 years after we started dating. But he was like, I remember you telling me when we first started dating how much you had wanted like a Game Boy and like how much you loved this game. And I thought about it, and like, and I was just, I remember when he explained this story, I was like, I forgot I had said that. And the fact that he remembered it and went out of his way to go and find the original game that I loved so much. And this is also back in the day when like these things weren't available like on eBay or whatever. He had to like find it through, there's no marketplace, there's no, you know, that stuff didn't exist. So he found it through somebody, and it was just really, really thoughtful and like really nice.
Aww.
I'm not saying you have to like go spend money or people have to spend money on you. It was like the thought of it, right? Yeah. It was just like so meaningful. So that was something that was just like really sweet.
Yeah, that is really nice. It is really thoughtful.
Yeah. Can you think of anything that a man has done?
Yeah. I've definitely had guys do really nice things for me. I mean, like, I dated a guy one time who worked crazy hours and was like like if I was in his position, I would have been so exhausted. And this was like during COVID, and I wasn't working at the time, so I was like literally at home, and he would have like the longest shift and then ask me what I wanted for dinner. So then he'd go to the grocery store, pick up all the ingredients, come home. He wanted to cook for me.
Oh my God.
He would give me a back massage after cooking for me. Like really spoiled me. And there was also a few different occasions where like he would randomly just send flowers to the house for me.
That is so nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice.
Oh my God, that actually is like so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me of one time Dan, when he was living in Quebec City, drove 3 hours literally to surprise me with flowers one time.
Yeah. Like things like that. Also, that same guy, one time I went up north with a few of my friends, and he was like, okay, let me know like if you need me to come pick you up. But like we were like 2 hours away.
He came to pick you up?
And he came to pick me up and drove even some of my friends home. Yeah.
That's really nice.
There's really nice guys out there.
Yeah.
For sure. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this episode. Please rate it 5 stars.
Yeah, I can go read us 5 stars. It really does help, because we definitely do like love doing this. It's so much fun, but we want to be able to like take it to the next level, aka like maybe even just like get like really good equipment and like be able to get a good space. We want to keep it casual still. Like we like doing it at Kyla's condo and whatever, but just to have like a nice setup so it like looks consistent every time. And also if we do want to be able to travel and like do little meetups and stuff, like that would be so fun to like get together and have like sister pajama time where we just like hang out with like our sisterhood just in different cities and just chill, go for coffee, like things like that. Like I'd love to be able to like set aside time to do that, where we could just like literally hang out and chat.
Yeah. I would love that. That would be so fun.
And so I feel like these are things that like we'd love to be able to do eventually. It's just like making money in order to do that. Like we don't have a budget right now to be able to, but hopefully eventually we'll be able to do that. So the more you rate, the better it is for us and for you guys eventually, because we'll be able to like come to you and hang out. And yeah, we love you so much.
We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will speak to you soon.
Yeah, next week. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Bye.
Bye.